Hey, everybody. Happy Friday, TGIF. Oh my God. This, this is Florida rain. Remember I told you it was all beautiful and so happy? It's been raining nonstop and it's not going to stop anytime soon. So, is what it is. This is how you get me, drowned rat, poodle, whatever you want to call it. Half my hair up, and this is still how big it is, but we don't need to talk about that. Um, we are going to talk about a couple different things tonight. I'm going to start with a story from, well, it's actually from Newsweek, but it is about a hand signal. We're coming out of National Domestic Violence Month, and so I thought it was an interesting story, and I want to bring it to you. And then I want to chat about it with you because I think you guys are going to have some good insights. It's so good to see you guys, and I love the emojis. I love Nash's emojis. Good to see you. Hi, Chris Hill, Red Like Wine again, Lynn Labby, Charlie Hunt, Twin Mom 2011, Empress Takalata Kaka, Ping the Router, Woodbury. Let's see who else is here. Who will I find? Berserker Loki. La 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 la. And I snapped out of my chat. I Snapchatted. I'm old and I Snapchatted. I literally came from the airport. I got another house full company. We're going to a SEAL team picnic tomorrow because my husband's, or like a, what do they call it? My husband keeps telling me what it's called. Begins with an R. Anyway, a rowdy? I don't know. I forgot what it's called. But anyway, his dad was SEAL Team 6, and they're having this big, a muster. That's what it's called, a muster. So we're going to a muster tomorrow. And yeah, so anyway, we're going to touch upon a couple things, but then we will kind of dive deeper tomorrow night. Tonight's going to be kind of like a little bit of everything. And then I really want to start digging into some of this stuff with you. Hey, Jesse, Diane, Ryan. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. And Tracy Schuler. Last night we were talking about a gordo. I know you're, wait, that's Tracy L. But some of you guys know about a gordo. Yes, Lynn Labby, I'm on my way to 5,000 subs. It's weird though. Gotta tell you. It's like I gain 50 and then I lose 75. So it's okay. It's a slow build. It'll happen. And I want to earn every bit of it. So it's just the way it goes. It's just weird. I mean, I probably shouldn't be looking at numbers all the time. I do. But, you know, what are you going to do? All right. So my first story, let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys because I think it's interesting. And this is about, I had started to say we're coming out of National Domestic Violence Prevention Month. And this is a story, actually it's from USA Today. I misspoke. And here's how this story goes. Hand signs from TikTok. Whoops. Missing girl saved after she used hand signs from TikTok to ask for help from moving car, sheriff says. A 16-year-old girl who had been missing for several days was rescued Thursday when she caught the attention of a driver by using hand gestures to signal she was in distress, a Kentucky Sheriff's Office said. The Laurel County, Kentucky Sheriff's Department said 61-year-old James Herbert Brick of Cherokee, North Carolina, was arrested Thursday afternoon for unlawful imprisonment after he was pulled over off an interstate with a missing teen in the back seat. The sheriff's office also noticed he was found to have sexual images of a teenager on his phone. The hand gestures used by the teen have been popularized on TikTok and represent violence at home, I need help, domestic violence. The sheriff's office said that a witness in a car driving behind Brick's Toyota called 911 upon recognizing the hand signals and told dispatchers the teen appeared to be in distress. Deputies waited at an exit to the interstate and pulled Brooke over for a traffic stop where they found out the teenage passenger had been reported missing on Tuesday by her parents in Asheville, North Carolina. According to the teenager, she had traveled with Brooke through North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Ohio, the Sheriff's Department release says. The department did not share what sign the teen used, but advocates have previously advised people in distress to use hand signals to discreetly ask for help. The Canadian Women's Foundation says an international universal signal for help in a case of domestic violence or other distress can be made with one hand. Face your palm forward and with your thumb tucked in, then close your other 4 fingers over your thumb and trap it. And they show it right here. Like this, and then I guess like that. This sign does not necessarily mean you must call authorities immediately, the foundation notes, but it rather indicates reach out to me safely. The sign has been shared on social media platforms, including TikTok, particularly as research has shown the coronavirus pandemic and lockdowns have led to an increase in domestic violence cases. And I know a lot of you that, or most of you, are also subscribers to Trisha on Web Sleuths. And, maybe you've seen me around the internet in a past life. I don't know. I know a lot of us talked about concerns when we started going into shutdowns with coronavirus, how the numbers might spike with domestic violence and child abuse. And, here we are coming out of it, and the numbers are just insane. So people are advised to use a hand signal discreetly on web cameras or other situations when they cannot freely speak about a dangerous situation or call for help. The signal for help is a tool that may help some people some of the time. Some people do not have the ability to make video calls. Please find other resources, services, and programs. This may be helpful in an unsafe situation at home. And that's pretty much it on that. But I thought it was interesting, and the reason I brought this up was because we tend to be hypercritical about some social media platforms, and I don't think we give TikTok the credit it deserves. If it's reaching out to younger people and spreading this kind of awareness, you guys are looking at Colin Powell. Hey, Elena Mandel. If it's raising this kind of awareness and teaching anybody how to signal for help and to do so safely, that gives me a lot of encouragement. And again, it's social media, it's true crime, it's helping to protect people. The other thing it made me think about, and I'm going to bring Ping on in a second. He doesn't know what I'm going to ask him about. Well, he's going to know in a second if he responds. As why we are dumbing down the charges in true crime. And I'll explain that in a minute. But I'm going to bring Ping on real quick and see how he's doing. Are you there, my friend?
How's it going?
Good. I didn't even talk to you before we went live, so I'm so sorry. And you're so kind.
That's all right.
Jump on. I literally was like wet and trying to like throw something on and stuff.
I know you're like, give me 5 minutes. And I'm like, what do you mean 5 minutes? And I looked at the time and it was already like 1 o'clock here. And I'm like, oh, we've only got like, 15 minutes or something. Didn't realize where the time went.
I know. And then he told me, he's like, you can just talk about T-Rex. I'm like, oh, I'd love to do that. I could talk for 5 hours about the T-Rex, but I don't think anyone wants to hear about it. So, yeah. So my question to you is like, when I read these articles, TikTok has got has received a lot of criticism for like how much time kids spend on it, like some of the dance challenges, how silly they are, all that other stuff, how self-involved it can be. But I think there's actually, and I was one of those people too, but I personally am seeing a lot of good coming from it lately. And it being stories like this, like sharing like a hand signal you can use because you need help, because you need assistance, because you need attention. It's sharing true crime stories. That's a big deal. Sharing, I don't want to talk about politics here, but encouraging people to vote, how to research candidates, people talking about their careers. There's lawyers, there's doctors talking about what they did to get to where they are. And like Insightful One says, as long as they're not eating Tide Pods, she's all for it. Most of those challenges are now coming through YouTube and not TikTok. But the one thing that I'm throwing a lot at you here, but one of the things I noticed in this article tonight, a lot of the ones I've been reading recently, is we don't say the word. I'm going to break a lot of rules on YouTube tonight. We don't say the word kidnapping anymore. We charge people with false imprisonment. We don't say the word rape anymore. We say the word sexual assault, or we say sexual battery, and there's different levels of it. And then there's child abuse, and then there's child predators, but they're not child molesters, they're sexual offenders. And, in some of those cases, or some of those instances, not cases, I think that might be the more appropriate word, but some of them seem to soften down is it softened down? Like
it's almost sugarcoating it.
Yes, thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. It's sugarcoating the offense. It's flowery. I can't talk tonight. Flowery language, and I don't like it. And I think for me, I want to know how you feel about it, Ping, but I want to know how the chat feels about it too. I'm all for making the charge as vulgar as the crime. Like scarlet letter style. Like you need to walk around as a rapist. You need to walk around as a child molester, not a sexual offender. And actually, it really aggravates me because at least in the US, under the classification of like a registered sex offender, that's anytime you've displayed like your sexual organs in public or to someone that does not want to see them, right? And so if you're like at Mardi Gras, St. Patrick's Day fast, and you happen to be caught urinating in an alley, you can get charged with, public intoxication, public urination, and you could be classified because of what you're doing as a sex offender. So I don't like that title, and I'm seeing some of you reacting like, yeah, make the charges as ugly as the crime. I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think they're just like, what do you, is it because we don't want to say those words? Is it because we can't?
I don't know if it's that, or it's maybe because they were trying to cover a whole heap of things, like a whole heap of different situations under the one crime.
Mm-hmm.
To fit many different circumstances. And, but I get what you mean. If you use these lightened terms, maybe they won't be, I don't know, not discouraged, but they can hide behind it in a way that, oh, I'm not a rapist, I did X, Y, and Z instead. But if you call them a rapist, they're a rapist.
Mm-hmm. That's what you did.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know I kind of see both ways about it, but if you've done a crime, something specific like rape, call it that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care for the diplomacy of it, if that's what it is. A lot of you are saying like Ping, sugarcoating. I don't, it is what it is. If you kidnap somebody, you kidnap somebody. You didn't falsely imprison them. Maybe that's a technical term, but you're a kidnapper. You took somebody against their will and you put them somewhere and they didn't have the wherewithal to leave. If you sexually assaulted somebody, that could mean a million different things. It could be a million different things. It could mean that obviously you violated their rights, but I mean, there's different levels of that violation. And I'm really sick and tired of seeing breaking and entering instead of burglary or stealing or being a thief. And I'm not some crazy, like, um, let's go back in time and call me Goody Amy and I'll wear a little white hat. I mean, I'm not like that. But call it what it is, because I'm tired of seeing these things next to people's names. And I think one of the reasons that what would be incited this little conversation in my head that I have with myself before I share it with you is that I've been watching something local. It's somebody that, I mean, I'm not going to say I know them, but I know of them. I know they're a repeat offender, and I cannot believe this person's not in prison because they received 15 years on a heroin charge. This is my other problem with this, for distribution, intent to sell, all kinds of stuff, right? Personal use, whatever. And they served four of the 15 years and got out in good time. Okay. But they were on parole, which meant if they did anything, they automatically went back to jail. They stopped reporting for parole, moved to another county where they committed more crimes, and then they just got their parole extended instead of prison time. And violation of parole should mean totally back to jail, because that's your second chance and you blew it. And I read today that the same person who's had their parole extended for like 15 years or something now beat up his wife, destroyed some personal property with what they listed as a deadly weapon, and he went to jail and he's bonded out. It's like,
Is it true in the States if you move to a different state, it's quite possible you could live there after your crimes and those cops would just never know? Like you would only know if you went for a permit or like a work check or something.
sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you can get around it that way. It's hard. I would say as the years go by, it's harder and
With the
harder.
technology getting better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Running fingerprints, running your driver's license number, running, things like that, running your social, depending on where things are stored and the level of your crime, I think it gets harder and harder. But they can, they'll look at your address, and if you've only been like say they run your address and you've only been at an address for like a year, they may ask where you lived before, and they may ask the dispatch or not the dispatch, but whoever they're calling into to look up your record there, like that type of thing. I think they have a better handle on it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I think this is the way a lot of these criminals get around. Yeah, no, I get it. I get it, insightful one. Breaking and entering is different than burglary too. You could break in somewhere and not steal anything, so it's just like a B&E in that case. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm going all medieval times. I mean, I'm going medieval times. I'm not going Hammurabi's Code. But I just kind of want, if you do something as egregious as kidnap a child, molest a child, anything like that, I think that like it should be very, very clear what you did, and you shouldn't be lumped in with people that maybe didn't make it to the bathroom at a college football game. I have a problem with it. Tamara says, I actually think molested is softening of child rape. I think calling it sexual assault is better than molestation. I absolutely agree with everything else you're saying. Oh, well, thank you. I do think that molest is just by definition is lessened. And false imprisonment is different from kidnapping. You're right, but they use false imprisonment as like a umbrella for that. And it's just like, I can't. Yeah, insightful one you're talking about. In Singapore, they're about to hang a man for smuggling 1.5 ounces of heroin. That's ridiculous. Yeah, if you've ever seen, what's the program, Locked Up Abroad,
Banged up abroad.
Banged up abroad?
That's what it's called.
No, it's locked up abroad.
Oh, really? No, that's what they call it here.
Are you teasing me?
No, for real. I watch it. It's on the like Nat Geo or
Yeah.
Discovery. Yeah, it's called Banged Up Abroad here.
Oh my gosh. Well, both of them, I just realized, like when you say it slow, it sounds like you're saying a broad, like a derogatory term for a woman.
Oh, like the Aussie woman word. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you have to be careful what you do in other countries. And interesting, you bring up Singapore because I was just thinking the other day. I can't remember how old I was. I think I was still in my 20s. I don't know if you guys remember this. There was a kid that he was American, and did he litter? I think he littered in Singapore, and they did a public thrashing of him. Like that was like, yeah, they don't mess around in some countries. What are you saying, Rebrad? There's a girl I had to file charge against a few weeks ago who has a ton of assault convictions, one on law enforcement, and she keeps getting probation violations, but hasn't actually spent any time in prison. Yeah, well, yeah, for probation, it would be jail. For parole, it would be back to prison. I just don't know how many second chances you give people. And I said I wasn't going to talk about anything like this, but if we can stay, like, let's pretend like we're walking down the hallway, and I'm just going to walk down the hallway with you guys, and we're not going to walk through any side doors, okay? Some of you are aware that Don Wells, the father of Summer Wells, was arrested for a DUI recently, and went to court, all that stuff. He was already on probation. So when he was pulled over for this DUI, he had that. He had an open container in the car, which was against the law. Expired registration, I believe, or tag. I don't know which one, but either way, same deal. And he went to court and was able to bond out on that charge. Okay, he was already on probation for the domestic violence charge and for the possession of a handgun charge he had, or the weapons charge he had, right? So the probation is a gift. The probation is saying, we believe in you, like you made a mistake, we don't want to put you in jail, so we're not going to keep you here. We're going to let you back out into society. You have to report to an officer or whatever the conditions they give you. You have to report or pay fines or check in or whatever it is. But in the meantime, during this whole thing, if you mess up, that's your second chance. You go back to jail. So I think when I heard the DUI news, I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, at least, they will keep him in jail. And right now he's not supporting any children that we know about. Sorry, I looked at a comment and got distracted. He doesn't have his boys at home. Summer's missing. There's a lot of things going on. And why they let him walk out is beyond me, because some people might say, well, it was a DUI. And I mean, I think we all think that's serious. But when you really think about it, he's a danger to society. I mean, he could have killed somebody. He's not thinking clearly. He's not making good decisions. And obviously he didn't take it very seriously, because that's a pretty serious thing to violate your probation with, right? So why aren't we, let's kind of track back to what we're talking about last night, like parenting and following through. Like when you say, if you do this, this is going to happen. So, and if you don't follow through with your consequence, then you're not taken seriously. I mean, I feel like we're doing this with our offenders. Not only are we sugarcoating the classifications of their crimes, but then they're on probation or parole, and we're not even sending them back, and they're constantly coming through the court system. I mean, it blows my mind.
Amy, have you seen some of the ones that have like 50 court appearances in 5 years. You're like, how are you still walking on the streets right now?
Right. Have you not proven that you either, one, don't care about any laws, you have impulse control, you have no respect for anybody? Why are you still out here? And what can you possibly be doing in society that's productive if you have that many violations and you're going to court that often? I mean,
Yeah, it happens here too, and I never get it. Well, actually, there was a famous case in Victoria where I live. A woman was stalked home and she was raped and murdered in an alley 2 minutes from her home. And that guy actually moved from one area to another. They didn't pick up on his parole, and he was let loose again. And like, it was a few weeks later or something, he raped and murdered this woman. And it's like if they had caught it, like that woman would still be alive today.
I see that's the kind of stuff I can't. I feel like, we make mistakes. We all do. We all make mistakes. Some of us get caught, some of us don't. But when you're given that second chance and you go out and you make the same mistake 2, 3, 4, 5 times, I mean, can you really be trusted to be living out in society? And when you're putting others in danger with your poor choices, that's when I start getting upset. P. Ann asked, what city am I talking about? I'm talking about Orlando, Florida. Look to the DA and their political affiliation. Yeah, I mean, I should, but it's kind of across the board in Central Florida, and they're all different. But yeah, that is definitely something to look at. I agree. I guess I'm getting really, really frustrated with seeing these names in the paper committing crimes that have escalated from their original charges, finding out they're on probation, and then you finally see them like get arrested for something big, assault with a deadly weapon, domestic violence, and then you're allowed to bond out? How? You just tack 6 months on their probation? That wasn't keeping them from doing that, almost a bad word, that crap before. Why would it make any difference now? What are you going to give them 6 months to finish the job? Like, no, we put a restraining order in place. Well, they don't care about anything else. Why are they going to care about a restraining order? It just doesn't make any sense. It's like, why do we even have, I'm beginning to think, I'm sorry, I'm on a rant, but beginning to think we have probation and parole to bring in money because you pay every month. And it's not a corrections program, and it's not like community supervision anymore. So I don't know. Elena Mendel says offender refers more to the following definition: annoyance or resentment brought about by a perceived insult to a sorry, I can't even read tonight. Annoyance or resentment brought about by a perceived insult to or disregard oneself or one's standards or principles. Yeah. I'm a little behind in the chat, so let me catch up on the comments here. Let's see. Yeah, breaking and entering is before you get caught actually robbing or harming or arson. It would also be, when they tack on charges, like if you were sleeping in an abandoned building but you didn't have a key and you broke in and they're trying to charge you with something like B&E would be one of the ones they'd list to keep you. Funny how they do that with some people and then let domestic violence people out on the street. It's insane to me. Oh, yeah. Sorry to keep picking the same person's comments, but this is a good one. The movie Return to Paradise with Joaquin Phoenix. That movie will make you cry. And that's a true story, right? I believe, or based on a true story.
It's not one I've seen.
Oh, it's really good. It's really good. But it's one of those ones where like every time you watch it, like you cry, and if you don't cry, I'm going to tell you like hurting baby bunnies or something. It's like it's it's uh it's hard to watch.
It's on the list.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good. Red Like Wine again says, I get what you're trying to say, Amy. They need to publicly shame these offenders, among other things. Well, I think they need to be. I think we need to call a spade a spade. You know, I think that's what it is.
Or whatever it says in our criminal code, just give them that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stop letting them back out or whatever. If it says 6 to 8, 10 years, whatever, give them that. Stop being
Yeah.
like, oh, we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just, I don't know. I just, apparently there are people reoffend because while they're on probation, because they don't, again, it's like parenting, they don't take it seriously. They know they're not going to end up back in prison. So, or back in jail. So they don't care. Tracy Schuler says in the US, banged up is in parentheses now. That's interesting. So that locked up abroad, she says that when they show it here, it's been a long time since I watched it. She said it, they put banged up in parentheses. So there you go. And they love your accent.
Oh, thank you. It's probably just a localization type thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in America, maybe you guys say locked up. And I know banged up is a UK term for being locked up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably where that comes from.
Okay. All right. I'm so behind in the chat. Okay. Thank you, Scooby Don't and P Ann. It was, I knew I was going to say gum chewing because I had a weird like tie to that, but yeah, it was a guy chewing gum in the street, and that's illegal to chew gum in Singapore, and he got publicly caned. Yeah, it was horrible. I used to work for a guy that was from the Channel Islands, so he's British, and we weren't allowed to chew gum. I don't know if anybody in here could comment on this, but I don't think I've chewed gum since, because apparently, like where he was from, it was like the most offensive thing you could do, and he just couldn't stand it. It wasn't about it wasn't about like somebody chomping gum or chewing it like a cow or anything. It was just something that was considered very, very vulgar. Betty Smith said, I remember I had a friend, a girl in college who was from the UK. I said, give me a ring sometime when we were going to our individual homes. And she said, ring, do you know, or do I know you that well? Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how those like terms don't translate. There's a couple of them.
If
Yeah.
you're Australian and you're speaking to an American, there's a lot of them.
Really? Like what? Give us some examples.
Well, a lot of Americans don't understand the whole no worries thing.
Mm-hmm.
I say it a lot and they're like, what? What do you mean? I don't know. I guess there's a lot of shortened words, servo and things we use down here that you guys wouldn't use.
Like, wait, what was the word you just said?
Servo. So that's a petrol station.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we call it a servo.
And it's short for like service.
Service station.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. We just put O's on everything.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. I can't think of anything. I mean, I know there's the common ones with like England cigarettes, like, you know.
Yeah.
They call them the derogatory word.
The F word, yeah.
Yeah. And then like it's weird because like in big cities, like outside of bars, if you need cigarettes or something, they call those loosies because they're loose. Like you might buy like I remember this from a case a couple of years ago. Like if you go out and you don't smoke or whatever, or maybe you do and you ran out of cigarettes and there's some guy on the corner, you're like, can I buy one from you? That's called like a loosie. Just was weird. They
call them darts or durries here.
Huh. That's interesting. Let me scoot down in the text. I'm so far behind. You guys are just chatting. I say no worries all the time too. But
I know that you're one of the only people that I've ever seen type it back to me that's not Australian.
Well, I don't know if it's the same. I mean, I know it's not interchangeable, but I did tell you I worked with a bunch of Kiwis.
Damn
So
Kiwis.
I
No.
know. So I picked up on a lot of that stuff. And I mean, I never, I wasn't Madonna picking up on their accent or anything. But definitely when you work around, I think I was at one point the only American, and all their lingo kind of just rubbed off on me because it became part of my vernacular. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
I understand. And for people who don't understand that little New Zealand joke, in Australia, New Zealand is like Canada, and we are the USA.
hmm.
That's kind of the relationship that exists between the two countries.
Oh, Empress. Oh, you're gonna make me say your name. Talk a lot of caca. She said my friend is always saying going to the dairy. What's that? What does that mean?
That's a New Zealand thing. That's like a milk bar or like a convenience store.
Really, I never
Yeah.
heard that one. I never heard that one. That's interesting. Yeah, no worries became a part of my language for a long time. I really can't remember anything else really big. I mean, I remember like back in my party days, like before like microbreweries and all that stuff was like a big deal, like calling beer pints or imperial pints or I don't, but nothing any yeah.
When you have fluid ounces, I think, you don't get to pick on other fluid volumes and measurements.
Yeah. Hey, word mom. Kathy Lynch, you never have to apologize. You're always on time. What else? Oh, the tea is like very specific about tea. I remember it was Tetley, and I always thought like in the U.S. we have something called Tetley tea, but it's like iced tea, and I don't know. I remember that a lot of things was like gents this and gents that. That was like a big thing. But anyway, we're off on a diversion. I don't know. Ping said a milk bar is like a convenience store.
Yeah, it's like a small, I think you would also call it a bodega.
Yeah, oh yeah. In a big city, you might call it a bodega. Yeah,
So like a
yeah,
little store that sells like, milk, bread, smokes, magazines, that type of thing.
emergency. Yeah, like
Yeah.
emergency stuff. Yeah, yeah. Yep, that's right. I do know this one. And in the UK, the television is called the telly, and the boot in the UK in your car is the trunk. I knew that one. I can't think. My sister's best friend is English, and that she comes over a lot. But well, and actually, my friend Safi is English too. But I think I'm just so used to it, I don't even notice it anymore. Like, you know, I don't know. Yep, the loo is the bathroom or the water closet. Is the other one I've heard.
Oh, we don't call them cookies here. They're biscuits here.
Biscuits. So, do you say dog biscuits or dog cookies?
Probably dog biscuit.
So the dog. Oh, okay. So everybody gets the dog cookies or the cookies or the biscuits. I don't know. Tea biscuits. I don't sea biscuit. It's a whole nother thing. I'm not like right in the head tonight. Oh yeah, insightful wonder. Yeah, if you watch like a lot of that stuff, you learn. If you watch foreign TV or like uh, historical series, like those type of things. Oh, Scooby Don't says, "Explain lollies, please." Is that a popsicle?
Oh, no, no. Lollies are what you would consider candy.
Right, like a
So,
lollipop.
well, no,
Oh,
more like Starburst or Ike and Mike, that type of thing.
oh, okay. Sack and Fox Nanny, we got off subject. We started talking about a
It's
story.
supposed to be about true crime.
It's supposed to be about true crime. Yeah. Sorry, we got off on a tangent. So, Sorry about that. Yeah, we started out with a story from, um, I think USA Today that was talking about a 16-year-old girl who had been kidnapped, and she signaled to a police officer a a hand signal that she was in trouble that she had learned from TikTok, and we were just kind of talking about pop culture and what's good and what's bad, labeling crimes. Um, it seems like they're sugarcoating the names for the offense now. And then we just kind of got off in a tangent. But thank you for reeling us back in, because we definitely need that, or it turns into a goat rodeo around here sometime. Oh, I'm sorry you're confused. I'm so sorry. He didn't mean to confuse you. We just got off on a wild tangent. So I'll take one more question. Let's see. Red Like Wine says, isn't it also called the water circle? Is that, I don't know what a water
I
circle.
don't know that one.
Yeah. Um, the reason I asked you for if it was a popsicle is because the other night you commented and you said, "Oh,
Oh,
she's
ice lolly.
an iced lolly." Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. We call them all sorts of things here. There's like ice lollies, or no, there's just a whole heap of things they call them here.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. So this is where things. Well, two things, I guess. Let me start. This is going to be like a mini little commentary. I'm going to put her picture up on the screen. It's going to go right over Ping and I, but that's okay. Because there we go. So you all remember we were talking about Heidi Plank the other night. So I'm not ready to do like a full presentation tonight, but a lot of people are talking, and I kind of want to get this out here. One of the things that I started doing, and so did one of our listeners, we started looking for addresses that, well, let's go over this real quick. Heidi Plank disappeared on October 17th. She'd gone to her, or she was reported missing on October 17th. She had gone to her 10-year-old football game. His name is Bond. She left partway through the game. Allegedly, she was irritated, edgy. 3 hours later, her dog, whose name is Seven, was found on the 28th floor of the Hope and Flower apartment building, about 12 miles from her home. She shared custody of her son Bond with her ex-husband, and ultimately, when she did not pick, it was her turn to pick up her son from school. On October 20th, she didn't show up, and her ex-husband reported her missing. She works for a company called Camden Capital, and in 2019, one of the gentlemen that she worked for, Jason Golanas, was sentenced to 189 months in jail for embezzling or stealing, defrauding, over $43 million in tribal bonds. The remaining partner, who in a lot of these, in a lot of the areas that Heidi worked in, his name is Jason Sugarman, and he's currently under investigation as well. Heidi's job title was executive assistant as well as controller, which means that she signed off on all the financial transactions of the company. She does not have a 4-year degree, which that's not a big deal. A lot of people don't. But for this level of a job, it would be, and to only have been with the company for 4 or 5 years, it's a little odd. It's a little odd. It looks like Heidi's signature is on a lot of documents so far, that I have seen. And so the mystery is how her dog ended up in this apartment building on the 28th floor. It's one of those buildings that you need a key card to get access to the garage, to the exterior door, then to your floor, and then to your apartment building. Originally, when she disappeared and the dog was found, the apartment building was not cooperative with the police. They insisted they get a search warrant. And so one of the things myself, and another listener has done it. If she wants to own up to this, I'm going to allow her to, but I'm not going to just say her name. We started taking the street address of Hope and Flower apartment building and cross-referencing it with any people that use that as their address. Okay. So there are there's a wide range of people that live in that building. There are accountants, there are attorneys, there are mid-range actresses and actors that maybe have a few things on their IMDb, maybe got their first series, nobody's super famous, talent agents, things like that. So we started thinking, well, maybe she had gone to that building. One of the things that's important to note is that, her husband said she has no ties to this building. Her friends say she has no ties to this building. But one friend says she picked her up from that building back in 2020. She doesn't know why Heidi was there, but that's definitely where she picked her up. So it's like, was she going to see an accountant? Was she going to see an attorney? Like, is that a possibility? Well, upon further digging, there doesn't seem to be any people linked to addresses or apartment numbers on the 28th floor, which is where the dog is found. So now it's like, well, if nobody lives on that floor, there's no registered addresses, then like how would somebody find a dog on that floor when you can only get access to that floor if you live there, right? So I know this is crazy, but I want you guys to consider this. I am thinking that, and I said this the other night, that maybe Heidi was an informant, and maybe she was a whistleblower, and this is a place that she went to drop off documents or thumb drives or something like that. This is a building that she did it, and unfortunately, she asked somebody for a ride back in 2020, so they know that. And they also, it has been reported that when she was at that football game on October 17th, that she got this phone call. Now, this hasn't been confirmed. It's like some people say she got a phone call, some people say she didn't, and that's when she left. Let's go into way out speculation world. What if she was working as an informant? She was working with the FBI, because the FBI is getting reports from the SEC. They're trying to take down Jason Sugarman. She works for him. They tell her, like, hey, Sugarman has set you up as a fall guy. You are the next Enron. And she has been supplying them with evidence, along the way. They call her at this game and they say, you know what? Things are getting tight. You need to come down here right now. You're not safe. Maybe, I don't know, something like that. What if they were using that Hope and Flower building as a safe house? And Heidi had her dog with her, so she went to where she would normally turn these documents or whatever as a temporary safe house, and her dog got out. And that kind of screwed everything up. I don't know. I've been sitting here talking those through with somebody else, and we keep going through a list of people and crossing people off the list. What's interesting is that as the days go by, a lot of these residents are deleting LinkedIn accounts. It's information is disappearing. The only thing that's really left are the SEC filings and the charges that are against them. And
when you described it to me the other day, and you ran me through it before the live show, what was the first thing I said to you? I don't know if you remember.
I don't, because we've talked since then.
I came to the same conclusion, and I'd never heard of this case before. And I said, she's in a safe house somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it's really the only thing that makes sense right now.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, really does.
Yeah. It is the only thing that makes sense. And so I guess, like, we're not here to solve crimes, but we're here to discuss. All right. And when I just saw VP put, probably because of sleuths or whatever, deleting social media. Yeah, probably because of that. I will say this, like, if you notice when I talk about the residents of that building, I'm not going to list names. I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to tell you who lives on the 11th floor and all that stuff, or what cars are registered with parking permits, things that you can find, right? I'm not here to solve a crime. I'm just trying to, like, figure out, like, in my mind what the possibilities could be. So let's talk about if she was an informant, she was working with the FBI. I believe that the FBI could act in a capacity where they're not sharing information with LAPD, although they're allowing LAPD to go in as a SWAT team to her home to search her home. They're using them in that capacity, but they're allowing them to believe that she's a missing person, or they're in on it together. But yeah, Ping, I think this is very, very probable, and I think that the dog kind of messed a lot of stuff up, the dog getting out.
Yeah, they may have blown the safe house, and now she has to go very quickly to somewhere else.
Yeah, and and maybe she was like, well, if I can't take my son, I have to take my dog. And they were like, well, there's no way you can take your son. So she took the dog, and then somehow the dog got out, and because of the microchip, and it led back to her so quickly, it was like, oh, now
It's not even that. It's even if someone saw you in a car with the dog, because it's identifying. So
Right.
that's what they don't want to do.
Right. So Betty Smith, what are you saying? So she suddenly goes into a safe house and has to leave her dog there. How come she doesn't call it a friend or ex-hubby to get the dog then? I think she was lured and killed, maybe. That's a possibility too. But since then, I believe the federal agents have had access to the CCTV videos at that place at the Hope and Flower apartment building, as well as a resident list and everything else. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't be able to get around it, but what it reminds me of is what is that movie where Al Pacino is the devil? Do you know what The Devil's Advocate?
I think that's it.
Yeah, where the guy's the attorney. Keanu Reeves is the attorney.
That's it. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, Charlize Theron is his wife, and she's like, oh my God, they're all evil. This is what this story kind of reminds me of. Hey, Lisha, it's nice for you.
Yeah, hi, Lisha.
Yeah, nice for you to join us. Thank you. See, Insightful One says it's a dog that makes me think it's not witness protection.
Yeah, could be.
It could be. I don't know. Something tells me that it was the devil's advocate. Scooby Don't says, but if that was the case, the feds could have arranged a low-key way to do it. Weekend getaway trip or something like that seems benign. I don't know if you have to get out fast. You're talking about Jason Sugarman. I'm about to lose my voice, you guys. Jason Sugarman he comes from a very wealthy, very powerful family, and he's already facing charges. His partner's already behind bars. His father owns, I believe is it the Raiders or the Rams? I can't remember, but he has.
Wait, who?
Jason Sugarman, her boss.
Sugarman. And you said he owns what team?
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's the LA Raiders or the LA Rams or something. I don't know football. I'm not gonna lie.
No, the Raiders are owned by the son of another guy who used to own the Raiders, so it's not that. Right. The Rams are owned by a dude from England that owns football teams. So I don't know if it's that either. Sorry.
That's no. I know his parents own a sports team.
Might be a minor league or something
like that. But they have lots of money. They're extremely powerful. They probably helped him get into this venue, set up his business. But when you're talking about your, yeah, I'm not gonna be able. I promise you, I'll
Is
look
it
this.
Jay Sugarman?
Yes.
He owns the Philadelphia Union Major League Soccer franchise.
Okay. Well, there you go.
There you go.
Thank you. Why did I have that in my mind? I have that in my mind. I have it written down. Like, it's so stupid. Like, these are really. Where's the camera? These are really bad notes. I have it like circled in the corner, and I have it checked off, and then I said citing, but then I can't read my own handwriting, so I don't know.
That's me. I can't read my own handwriting either.
But yeah, you're dealing with a lot of wealth and power. I was telling Trisha the other night, this reminds me of Dominic Dunn, like that Power and Privilege show he used to do. I mean, it's just everything. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of twists and turns. Jason has a lot of his hands in a lot of different places, and he's super well connected, and his freedom is on the line, and he's probably looking at going down too. And when you look at the dates, like 2019 is when Jason Galanis was sentenced, right? So Jason Galanis is sentenced. Heidi still works for Jason Sugarman. She's still signing everything. And in 2020, a friend picks her up in that apartment building. I think it might be probable that that's where she was dropping information or copying files or something like that. Okay, look, rebred. That's it. That's it. His father owns the Dodgers, Golden State Warriors, LA Football Club. Yep, that's it. Yeah, that's what I heard. I just can't read my. I don't know. We'll get it. We'll get it, and we'll break it down. Like I said, I want to go.
That's very interesting.
I want to go deeper into this, and I want to present it to you. And I'm probably going to do that either Saturday, but probably not tomorrow night. Sunday night, I'll probably do a deep and show you like everything laid out nicely so you can see it. I won't use names of residents in that building or anything like that. But maybe explore some of these possibilities and lay out who has what to lose on the line, because if Heidi, basically right now, Jason Sugarman is saying Heidi embezzled a bunch of money. The day she disappeared, he's like, "Oh, she embezzles. We need her back here because she has stolen so much money for this firm." Yet, all this time during all this court proceedings and everything that never came up, it's because she had a laptop that he didn't get back. That's just my opinion. I believe she was supplying information to the feds. I do. I don't know how far this goes, but I'd like to show you everything that he has under his belt. Just because Jason Galanis is in jail doesn't mean that he doesn't still have power to wield to avoid further charges. I think it's really, really interesting, and I want to let you guys know. I'm just going to say it now. I'm going to do it on Sunday. And show you how everybody's connected and who's on the witness list and those brokers, and where some of these people making big deals or whatever are not registered broker dealers with FINRA or the SEC. They're working in like another capacity, almost like in marketing. So they kind of like do the smooth talking thing to the clients and then pass them off to a broker dealer. And that's kind of, you see that somewhere in finance, but it's also like at this level, like a little shady. Sunday at 9. If that works for you guys. It would be better for me if it was a little bit earlier, but I can still do 10:15. I'll put up a poll and you guys can take a vote. 9 or 10:15. I don't care. I can't go any later. Can't go any later than that. But Ping, do you think I've lost my mind?
No, I think this is very interesting considering all the large players involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about generational wealth, like
Yes.
money where you can't even understand.
Right. And what else comes with generational wealth sometimes if you're not brought up properly?
Well, entitlement,
Entitlement, lack of
mm,
accountability.
all sorts of things. Being
Yes.
very, yeah. We've seen it over and over again with people who are trust fund type of people. And that's not to say they're all like that. Some are brought up very well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, we've seen it a lot of times in true crime.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And then it, I don't know if the word is systemic, but it becomes systemic within the family because now, after generations of wealth, we're protecting the image. So if our child screws up, we they don't see it as uh, excusing the child's behavior. They see it as protecting the family as a whole, the reputation. Do
Well,
you
the
do
family
you,
becomes a brand. It's no
right,
longer a family.
right, right. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. Terry M says the father-in-law of Jason Sugarman is who you mean. Peter Guber is co-owner of the Dodgers and Mandalay Entertainment. Okay. Yeah, so I need to get that and get it nailed down and tightened up and everything. But yes, privileged. Yes. Oh my god, I'm so behind on the chat again. How does this happen to me? They say also owns the Golden State Warriors and something with football. Yeah, see, that's what. So, I mean, I don't know anybody close to this case at all, but I do know some people out in California that have their own big finance firms and have been doing this again generationally. And so they had given me some kind of notes or whatever. But then when I asked them if they would come on here and talk, the answer was absolutely not. They don't want to get within a foot of this. And quite honestly, they told me that I probably shouldn't be talking about it either, but I think that's a little crazy. But if one night I'm sitting up here and you guys see like a Dodgers t-shirt go over my head and I just disappear, that's what happened. Oh dear. I didn't know that. Rooney Mara's family has owned the Steelers forever. Isn't Rooney Mara the one that was in both the Facebook movie, The Social Network, and she was also the girl with the dragon tattoo, the US version? I really like her. Oh, Mrs. Ping needs to be let in. Well, by all means, let Mrs. Ping in, as long as she knows the secret password. All right. So the last thing on the agenda for tonight is this, and it's what was on the thumbnail. So Chad Daybell's attorney, John Pryor, filed a motion for discovery today. It's dated November 5th. He is referencing the allegations of a clinician with the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare telling Lori Vallow to call an attorney who serves as legal counsel to the Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints. That's, as we know, Daniel McConkey. He's not licensed in Idaho, and he's based in Utah. We know that Mark Means had filed similar or multiple motions accusing McConkey of having conversations with a client and then going and calling Rob Wood, who's the prosecutor in this case. So Pryor is asking for a full and complete record. He wants an evidentiary hearing. He wants to be able to call on all witnesses, like the state employee, McConkey. He wants Rob Wood. He wants a special prosecutor to litigate the matter. He wants all the witnesses to be sequestered. He's not asking for that. He wants an order issue preventing the prosecution to not be able to make any public statements regarding the matter. And he also wants the court to, he doesn't want any of this sealed. And he wants everything open. He wants all the hearings open, anything related to this particular matter open and available to everyone. It's 22 pages. I have not gone through all of it yet. It is intense. I am not quite sure what to make of all of it yet. He particularly wants, like way down here, I scanned it. He wants a full, let's see. I know he wants anything that would that would qualify as a Brady violation to be revealed now, because he feels like anything that would, benefit his client, he wants to know in the here and now. That's one of the things. The conclusion, what I'd like to do is kind of read you like the conclusion and kind of talk about that. And then this again, maybe tomorrow or Sunday, depending, probably tomorrow, we can dig deeper and break this all apart. But for John Pryor's conclusion to this motion for discovery, he says, this is on page 21 of 22. Oh, I need to share my screen. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm thinking you're looking at what I'm looking at and you're not. Hold on one second. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Give me a second. Let's make sure you guys can see this. And I gotta get rid of it. See, it's a good thing we went look.
We can just blame it on Friday.
It is. Someone's got a case of the Fridays. No, totally do. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you. Let's see if I can do that here. Payne, can you tell me when it gets too big for the screen?
That's what she said, but yes.
Yes. I was waiting for that. I set you up. Is that good?
That looks good to me.
Okay. All right. So let me get back to page 21. All right. So here's the conclusion that he writes. Good night. All right. He says, it's essential to create a full and complete record concerning this matter, both because creating a complete record is essential to preserve Mr. Daybell's due process rights and rights to appeal, and so that counsel can accurately assess the situation and request appropriate relief. In summary, Mr. Daybell requests the following. Discovery of all written and recorded materials as referenced in Section 2 of this motion, and written statements as to whether any of the requested materials were deleted or destroyed. So we'll go back to Section 2 and look at that in a minute. An evidentiary hearing on this matter in front of an impartial tribunal in which Mr. Daybell is permitted to call and cross-examine witnesses for this matter. Good Lord. The appointment of an unaffiliated special prosecutor to litigate this matter, sequestration of witnesses. What else? An order preventing further public statements from the prosecution, and that this court deny any request by the state to seal documents or hearings related to this matter unless secrecy is specifically requested by defense counsel in order to preserve the defendant's Sixth Amendment rights to due process. Mr. Daybell files this motion, blah, blah, blah. So let's go up to Section 2 and find out what that's about. Okay, so this is going to be on page 10. Let's make sure it doesn't start on page 9. And this is about broad discovery. Okay, so this is what Mr. Daybell requests. Notes in their original form taken by Rob Wood during or after his conversation with Mr. Daniel McConkey. Any recordings made of any phone calls or conversations relating to this matter. A list containing the date, time, and subject matter of any and all phone calls, video calls, or in-person conversations which included any member of the prosecution team and any person employed or contracting with the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, including but not limited to an employee, a list of all parties to each, and the length of each call or conversation. He wants a list containing dates and times and subject of any and all phone calls, video calls, or in-person conversations which included any member of the prosecution and Mr. McConkey, a list of all parties to each and the length of each call, a copy of each phone record of the prosecution showing the time and date of each call. Again, same thing with text messages. And then he also wants text messages to or from agents of the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, text messages to and from Mr. McConkey, and text messages to or from any member of the prosecution team and to any member of Ms. Vallo's legal team. Again, emails, voicemails, they're asking for any notes generated during any meetings within or between the Fremont County Prosecutor's Office and Madison County Prosecutor's Office or any other prosecutor affiliated with the case. Any phone records, reports, incident logs, disciplinary paperwork, or any other written or electronic materials in its original form from Idaho Department of Health and Welfare regarding this matter. Text messages, emails from Idaho Department of Health. This is a lot. He's asking for a lot. And this is, then we get Section 3. Additionally, the prosecution has a clear self-executing legal mandate to turn over Brady material at the earliest feasible opportunity. This is, in my opinion, and I'm going to drop this link down in chat. Hold on one second. Hopefully it's not too big. Hold on. So if you guys haven't seen this yet, that you can go and take a look on your own. Again, these are free. That's a big old link. I don't know if that's going to work. I guess it did. Or you can find them. You can also find them posted by Justin Lum on Facebook. I think Law and Crime has them up now. There's quite a few places. Go and read through these pages. I want to know what you guys think because I am so confused about whether this is manipulation by Lori, if this is something that Means and Pryor worked on together, if Pryor just hopped on to be an opportunist, which would kind of be his MO. But if Lori actually talked to the legal team for the LDS Church and it wasn't attorney-client privilege, and she assumed that it was, and she shared information you would only share with a lawyer, and she perhaps said some things about Chad, and absolutely. And then, of course, that lawyer, try not to say the firm's name, we all know who I'm talking about, try not to say it too much, and that lawyer goes to Rob Wood, the prosecutor, or Lindsay Blake, and says, this is what our conversation was about. By all means, Pryor should have access to that information as well. But this motion is heavy and requesting a lot of stuff, and I mean, is this ever going to go to trial? We've got Lori on a stay, but now we have this that's going to definitely hold up Chad. I mean, do you think there's a chance that, is this a case of paranoia? Is this just due diligence? Or do you think Lori threw Chad under the bus at some point? What do you guys think? What do you think, Ping? Did you?
I think we need a flow chart with all these names. That's what I think. Because it's like every 10 minutes there's new names and people and they're going this way and doing that. it's I don't know. It's just, but I think at this stage, it's very odd to be asking for so much just random stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, it's like, what are they going to do with it?
Right, but if Lori, I mean, I don't even we don't even know if it's true, but if Lori really was told by someone in charge of her restoration, trying to get her competent,
Mm-hmm.
like, let's just buy this story. Okay, let's just buy it. Let's just eat it up. Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Sure.
It's so good. We love it. We want some more. Let's just keep on eating it. So we believe it, right? So Lori has to do this as part of her homework. And so she's like, ring, ring, LDS Church, biggest lawyer in the world, pretty much. Not biggest lawyer in the world, but like pretty heavy duty stuff. I need to speak to him. And he's like, oh, it's my girl Lori. I'm going to pick up the phone, And he's like, yeah, I know all about your case. I know everything about it, the ins and outs. And so she thinks she's talking to somebody that might be representing her. And she just starts spilling stuff that she shouldn't. And what does he do? He calls that attorney, who is not an attorney for Lori Vallow or Lori Daybell, calls the prosecutor and says, this is what I was just told. I got to, call here today. I mean, it is a big deal. They do have to get to the bottom of it. But I mean, how do we get here?
I'm not sure. And it just seems like every week there's something else.
It does.
I'm not like, if Lori really did contact this person, under what circumstances? Like, isn't she only supposed to be, if she's in this mental health hospital,
Mm-hmm.
isn't she only supposed to be having contact with her representation? Like her one lawyer or her team?
Well, if she expressed concern about her legal representation, okay, during some sort of exchange, somebody may have said, well, you can ask for another lawyer. I think we've always assumed that if she was unhappy with her representation, that it was Mark Means. But what if it's Jim Archibald?
I mean, it makes sense. It could do. Considering her ties in and out of, I don't want to say the name, but, considering her ties and what this has all fed through in the last 2 years, I mean, I wouldn't put it past it.
No, and I mean, she could be, I don't know, she could be manipulating this whole thing, and the lawyers could just be hopping on the train because it buys them, some time. I see Carolyn Dillman saying Chad is throwing Lori under the bus, in my opinion. And then, right in the same way, somebody says, it's VP right underneath. Lori most definitely threw Chad under the bus, must be crowded under there. Tamra says, I think Lori is upset because the closest portals didn't make her happy, so she threw Chad under
Damn portals.
Chad under the bus.
I think we always thought, or at least I did, that one of them would start to turn on the other eventually. Being separated, having these separate court dates, eventually someone was going to try and, turn like the worm.
Right.
Maybe this is the start of that.
I think you're right. I think this is a turning of the tides. Like, we're yeah. I've always thought whoever turned on who first would get a better deal. And I don't even mean like making a deal with the prosecution. I just mean would come out more shiny. I mean, flip on her and take your chances. Patty Smith said, Lori's in the loony bin. They don't let her call just anybody she wants to, I would imagine. We kind of talked about that too, like on air and off air. My understanding is that if a patient needs to make a call, unless it's to her attorney, but that call is placed by somebody. Like, you don't just get to go in a room and start like randomly dialing people, right?
It's also monitored.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, there are certain people that Lori's just not allowed to contact right now. So they wouldn't just like willy nilly put her in a room and say, "Go to it, sister. Call whoever you want." That number would be dialed for her. Yeah, she just doesn't get to to do whatever she wants. And if she was secreted away somewhere to make a phone call, or she were to use somebody's personal cell phone or something like that, that would most likely, I don't know because of this facility, but I'd say that would be against the rules. Letting a mental patient use your personal phone. That might have been one of the ways that this was done if it truly happened. But I think the bottom line is that we don't, at this point, we don't know if it, God, how am I saying this without sounding stupid? We don't know if it happened or it didn't happen. So this investigation has to happen. And I don't know if it has to go down the way that Pryor wants it to go down, or if it has to go down the way that Mark Means wants to go down, if they're working, in concert. I don't know. But it's going to go down somehow, and neither attorney is going to shut up until it's done, and they want it done out in the open. And I'm curious about that. I'm sorry, my nose itches so bad. I don't know if it's about that. I think they want the transparency so that they can create prejudice against the prosecutor.
Could be.
And I think that's one of many of the motives that they're using. Hey, G-Dubs, it's good to see you. I saw you were cracking all the jokes the other night, all the jokes, and I never got to respond, and it was making me laugh so hard. I went back and looked on the replay, and you were hilarious. It's good.
She's taking my job while I'm actually speaking.
Is she?
Yeah, she's doing my jokes for me. Aren't you, G-Dubs?
Saucy minx. Stirring it up. All right, what are you guys saying? Let's see. Betty Smith, you say, because you're applying to VP, you're saying, being Alex's dad and law enforcement found kids because they tracked Alex's phone. I think both Lori and Chad are indeed going to blame Alex solely for the murders. Oh, yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's more electronic data that's going to prove that. I think, way, way back, we started talking about how, when they say the devil is in the details, well, the devil is in their electronic footprint. All of them. Even with their burner phones. You guys have seen what's been released.
Well, she had 23 phones. Mm-hmm. Where's the data from that?
Well, they have some of the data from some of them.
Yeah, I think we've seen. Did they say it was like only a couple or something? Like,
right, but we don't know what they're not releasing.
That's right? Very true.
So, and they're figuring out their code names for each other, and they've got, Zalema on use immunity, and they most definitely have a deal with Melanie Gibb, so I think they're putting all this together, and I don't think they're going to be able to just say, oh, well, Alex did it. There's too much. They thought they were a lot smarter. I mean, a lot of ways they were very sophisticated with the burner phones and the things like that. But in other ways, she's using her murdered husband's credit card to buy her wedding rings.
That's the most tacky thing. Like,
yeah,
just ever. Like, I can't think of anything more just low life. And like, that's the one detail that got me. As soon as they said, she used her ex-husband, who is now dead, his Amazon account to buy those rings, like, what was it, 20 days later or something? I mean,
I believe it was before he.
Oh, before, that's right.
Yeah.
See, I mean, who does that?
Yeah. Who? Yeah. I don't know. So, yeah, it's interesting. Kathy Lynn, she said, if you use a burner phone and then toss it, I thought you couldn't track it. So here's the thing. Let's say I'm using a burner phone, right? And I'm calling you and you don't have a burner phone. even if I use 11 different burner phones to call you, there are people that can figure out by the way I type text messages, the length of
Mhm.
the phone calls, the time of day, the area,
Yep.
and they can start saying, okay, well, those calls going into Kathy's phone must be from Amy because they sound like Amy, they look like Amy, they're in Amy's area.
We can
And
also isolate where you are too.
then,
We can look at what towers you were hitting and what direction they were going. All we need is one entrance point, which
right,
means if they can find whoever you were talking to, they can backtrack from there. It's not
right,
hard.
right. It's like a puzzle piece. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then
They
they
did it
just,
in the Cleo Smith just recently.
right.
They isolated the towers where the camping site was and worked backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And then you take like, because this is such a big group of people, sorry, I am playing with my hair tonight, so I apologize. Then you take a second group or a second person and you say, okay, now ping is, um, Ping is calling Kathy, and here's the times. And look, this number that showed up on Kathy's bill is showing up on Ping's bill, and they're talking about this. So this definitely has to be Amy because they're talking about the same things when Amy used to use her real phone. And they start just putting together a profile and figuring out whose phones are whose. And I think they've done a pretty thorough job on this
yeah, they
one.
did a good job. And
Mhm.
like Amy said, they can actually go through and look at little things like um, they always use a smiley face at the end of a sentence. They
Mhm.
always use a capital letter on certain words, or they spell a certain word as a spelling mistake. Those things can go towards proving identity as well. So if you nobody's seen that before, they've done that in other cases before.
Like here, I'll tell you if you look at my comment in the chat, I'll actually put it up on the screen. If I can find my own freaking comment. This is like my signature. I do this. I know grammar. If I have to write a paper, if I have to write an abstract, if I have to write a work email, fine, I do. But I am on social media all the time. I'm usually on my phone, so I do this a lot. Dot, 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 dot. That's
So
my,
do I. I think
yeah.
we both do.
Yeah, so that would be an identifying factor for me. If you saw a lot of complete sentences and things like that, you would say, oh, okay, that's not Amy because she doesn't do that. Yep, Black Cloud Woodgie, you do it too.
There's other things too. There's certain tone and use of phrasing and stuff. There's actually an art to it. It's not something that I'm qualified in, but it's adjacent to what I'm educated in, and I've researched a little bit of it before. It's very interesting.
Well, even the way our abrupt responses to things, like when we're in a hurry. So, does anybody else do this? Um, Somebody sends you a long explanation, and they're like, "Can you believe this?" And you just respond, "Right." That's something that's specific to you. Not everybody does that. Then you've got the annoying people that answer like this. I can't stand this. If you ever do it to me, I might be featured on some true crime show. Okay. I hate that.
No
But then,
K.
yeah, you can't even type an O. It's just K because O is just, oh my God, please don't make me type the O too.
So I'm not sure what they call this. Is if this is like a type of cryptography or something like that. I'm not sure what the actual word is, but the FBI actually have people who do this.
They
So
do. They do. And there's books about it. And it's really,
yeah,
really
it's really
interesting.
cool.
Yeah, it's how they what did I will find out what it's called, or one of us will, because we're both. I'm gonna just make a note. Hold on 1 second. A note that I will be able to read in 30 minutes, by the way. Um I believe they did it during, oh my gosh, why can't I think of the name? It's like all the astrological signs. What is zodiac? It's how they knew the difference between the fake zodiac and the real zodiac.
Right. They knew it because, yeah, I read that too. They knew
Because
because of his writing style.
right. So when people tried to copy it, they couldn't because they sometimes would print it in the handwriting, but sometimes they would just like retype it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's how they catch people out. That's how they catch copycats.
Are you really going to go there, G-Dubs? Really? You're just,
Oh,
yeah, just digging
G-Dubs has left the chat.
bamboo under my fingernails, man. Can't take it. Calling card. That's a good word for it. Yeah, Marilyn Landis. It is. It's something to do with like signature, calling card. Like, I hate to use the word profile because it sounds like profiling, but it is like your I don't know, the way
A
you
calling card is one singular thing, though, I think. Like it's one statement or like, you know, a symbol, a thing, a letter, I think anyway.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why I said that.
Yeah. No, there is yes, GJHIKR. I know, right? Do you know my mom has just started writing back IDK. I don't know. It's, it cracks me up. Like, okay, IDK. I don't know. But all right, good night. Who's going to bed? Wait, I thought it was Betty Smith. But it's not. Red like wine again. Good night. Have a good night. We're wrapping it up. Wrapping it
Good
up.
night,
It
red
is,
white line.
yeah. Good night. Sweet cherry. Yeah, it is the signature, but there's another word they use for it, and now we're on a mission to find it. So I'll talk about that. So here's the deal. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna have a thorough I'm gonna look up everything I can on this. I am going to confer with my friend who is a legal expert so she can help me talk about this. I'm trying to convince her to like come up here and talk, but she might not do that. I don't know. But maybe she'll at least let me give her some credit. So I will do my homework on that, and then so tomorrow will be. Sorry, it's going to be at 10:30 because by the time I'm not going to get back from that SEAL team thing till late. So that's my problem, not yours. But 10:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, and then Sunday I'll put a poll up in the community section. If we can go at 9, that would be great. So on Sunday we'll do the Heidi stuff. I'll lay out who all the characters are in that for you guys. Hey, Gambler. Well, it's okay. You can watch it on the replay. It's always good to see you. It's always good to see you.
At least
So,
she made it.
yeah, yeah. What's a bummer? Whose son just had a? Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to find it. So we'll just. Sorry if someone had a bummer. And yes.
Something about distant cousins and still
Oh,
being in contact.
okay. Okay. All right. Well, maybe one's Furbage, but there's Chris Hill. Yep, but there's another word for it. There is. We'll find it. Either that, or I'll wake up like in the middle of the night and be like, "Ma, I know it!" Screaming it and like waking up everybody in the house, and then and my husband will just say to his family, "I told you I married a weirdo. Just ignore her." So, yep. All right. Anything you want to add, Ping?
I only had one bit of news today. It's that if you guys haven't been following the case of the two missing campers, the older people in Australia, there's a special coming out on 60 Minutes Australia, Sunday our time. So just give me a second. I'm just trying to find their name. I had the thing up. Oh, Russell Hill and Carol Clay. If you guys have been following that case, there is a 60 Minutes Australia episode this Sunday.
Oh, okay, cool. So if we find that link, we can put it in. I could put it in the community section, right?
Yep, I can give you that when it airs.
Okay. Yeah, I like 60 Minutes Australia a lot too, Kathy Lynch. Actually, vernacular is part of it, Chris Hill. That would be part of the definition, yes. And then there's also lexicon. So that's the group of words that you use that are most used by you and in your vocabulary. So good night. Good night. Good night. You guys are already saying good night. I know because you don't like to hear the ending, but I have to put it for the replay for new people. so so yeah, let's all watch 60 Minutes Australia. I don't know that case at all, to be honest. So I need to get up to speed. I don't know anything about it. And You can help support this channel by liking this video. Also, if you're not already subscribed, if you'd hit the red subscribe button down below, that would greatly help me. Also, while you're there, hit the notification bell so you never miss a live. You can help me financially by donating to my PayPal. That link is in the description down below. I don't have a lot of expenses. It's just my subscriptions to some basic things, and the StreamYard I have covered for this month. So I'm good on that. It's some of the other little things, but it would be helpful and I would really appreciate it. But if not, those other things are great. Put your comments down below. Let's talk about things here. Give me feedback. Tell me what you want to speak more about, what you want to hear less about. I welcome corrective criticism, all of that good stuff. I listen to everything you say. I take it into consideration. I can't please everybody all the time, but I can take it into account. I mean, it's your channel. You guys make this what it is. So on that note, Ping, I'm going to say goodnight to you. I'm going to say goodnight to the chat.
Good night, Amy.
Thank you
Good
so
night,
much.
Sushi Crew.
Yes, thank you so much for being with me too. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I do. All right, guys. On that note, oh, you're so sweet. I'm going to bid you good night and tell you that I will see you on the floor.